Now, it feels like advertisers were relatively slow to this space, and maybe that's a misperception on my part. But given the measurability, was it a matter of audience size that they were just hesitant to make the move and move the dollar simply because they didn't think the audiences were as big on the streaming side?
That's 100% right. I think they got not complacent, but sort of comfortable with this model that you would pay for something that was had broad reach, but not totally measurable. I mean, if you look at the magazine kind of advertising market, that's a great example where subscriptions were overinflated. The actual number of subscribers they had, and you'd pay for that, and you'd be like, okay, who actually turned to that page? Same thing, not as bad, but in cable, in satellite, you would have you're reaching a broad audience. And so initially they sort of poo-pooed a little bit the whole OTT and streaming sort of trend is that's kind of niche, right? There's not enough eyeballs there, but that has really changed. And by some analysts' estimates, we've now flipped where there's more advertising going into digital and streaming sort of content and distribution than into traditional, cable and satellite advertising.
And as you think about that measurability, these are smaller and niche audiences, but are the advertisers attracted to this specifically because that's who they're looking for and they know they have a captive audience on those streaming and on demand platforms?
Yeah, it's not only that they have a captive audience, it's that they're capturing that audience in the way that those consumers actually operate today. Because if you think about it, if you look at your time spent on any media, TV is not even number one, right? So you have to look at gaming. It depends on the demographic. Gaming, social media. There's a lot of other things that consumers are doing. So they're surrounded by devices. They're on laptops. They got their phone. They got their TV. And so this idea of being able to sort of track the consumer across all those devices and provide the surround sound effect, right, for advertisers, where you see the brand everywhere. Some of it you're engaging, some of it's in the background. That's very powerful for consumers. And studies have shown that consumers need to see a brand maybe 6 or 7 times before they finally click on something or say, "Yeah, that sounds interesting. I'll investigate it." So this sort of comprehensive approach that includes video streaming, digital, is very attractive for advertisers.
As you're looking at the leaders in this space who are doing this well, are you seeing any advertising integration models aside from the old 30-second clip or 15-second clip? Are they doing a better job of baking in the brand awareness into the content itself? We hear a lot about influencers as an example where they'll speak to the value of the product and work it into the plot line or work it into the program itself.
Yeah, and that social is another a great example of where they can integrate, ads that are sort of teasers for content. They kind of work together. They can have influencers, they can have sponsors on the promo. And you have to also look at the whole sort of value chain and distribution model for content itself, right? It's not just going from a broadcast station to a TV set. It's going through the pipe to connected TV, for instance. There's a home screen. There might be an app. So there's many different, sort of stop points along that value chain that could be an ad impression. You can have an ad on the home screen on your TV. You can have an ad that is pre-roll before a video starts to play. So it really opens up a whole cornucopia of ad impression opportunities that are clickable and trackable. And what advertisers love about that is they can really experiment and they can measure that, and they can say, we'll try all these different types of formats, a 5 second here on YouTube and a 30 second here, and let's see what brings in the eyeballs and what brings in the click throughs to whatever the ask is, the call to action.
What is your community seeing about the demographics here? It was always assumed that younger people would be the first ones to adopt the new forms of media, and that they were the first ones to jump on things like Netflix when it debuted and Hulu as it debuts, and so forth. But at some point, you're going to get everybody else in the marketplace that maybe decides to cancel their cable package and move over to these devices. Are we seeing a generational divide in how people adopt these new media streams? To hear the answer to that question, simply click the link in the description of this video to access the full episode. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel for videos like this, and subscribe to this show anywhere you get your podcasts.